Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Ashley D. Will here, and we're here to talk about a topic that's important. You guys, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And our topic today is mastering self through submission. Mastering self through submission. This is a deep, extensive topic, and I will not be able to cover everything on this in one video. But we're going to do an overview just to give you an idea of what this is all about. So we're going to learn about mastering the self through submission. Now, when we talk about mastering the self, we're talking about, think about all of us. What are we doing? We're seeking to be healed from trauma. We're seeking to better ourselves. We're seeking to solve problems in our lives. We're trying to figure out the best thing for us, right? Or at least to go up a notch. Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, seasonally. But we're trying to grow. And that's a good thing. But I want to help you see that there is an extremely efficient way to do all of that with one solution. Okay? So we're going to learn to master ourselves through submission, though. And I know the word submission freaks a lot of people out, and that's okay. Let's look at the definition of submission in this context. The definition of submission in this context is yielding to a superior force. Yielding to a superior force. So submission in this context is actually a very good thing. It's very, very good. Submission in this context is safety. Submission in this context is comfort. Submission in this context is wisdom. Submission in this context is direction. Submission in this context is divine efficiency. That's the point. Is this submission, I don't know about all the other submissions that you may be thinking of out there, but this type of submission is only good. It is purely benevolent. There is nothing detrimental about it. Okay? So let's look at this. So the first scripture I'm going to use is Matthew 11:28, because Jesus Christ is the ultimate master, benevolent master. Right? And so when you submit to Him and surrender to Him, He will master yourself through your submission to Him. He will do this automatically, naturally, and beautifully, and efficiently. So the reason that I chose Matthew 11:28, because Jesus Christ is calling all of those who are weary of trying to heal, weary of trying to better themselves, weary of trying to find solutions to their problems, and worn out from working so hard, from being afraid, from being traumatized, from all the different things that you've had to deal with. All of these people come to me, the living risen Christ, and I, the living risen Christ, will give you rest. So the first step in mastering self through submission is when you choose to submit and come to Christ and get in His yoke, which He talks about in verse 29 in that same passage. You will start the process of resting. And when you're in a state of rest, and only when you're in a state of rest, and proportionately to the extent that you're in a state of rest, you can and will heal. If you are always being triggered and always stressed and running around chasing your tail or chasing the wind, there's not going to be a whole lot of healing going on, because you're in fight or flight. You're in a worried state. You're in a stressful state. And you have to be in a state of rest in order to make progress in all of these things that are concerning you. So when you come to the living risen Christ, those who are weary and worn out, He promises He will give you rest. So that's one thing that is very important in the process of journeying to where you want to go, is learning to rest. The more you rest, the more healed you'll be. The more you rest, the more of the will of God you will do. The more you rest, the better things are going to be. Your physical and mental health will improve. Okay, so that's the first part of mastering the self through submission. When you come to Him, He is the master of everything, and He masters yourself through your submission to Him. So this is a beautiful cycle that feeds itself, and it's extremely efficient. You can be running around in your own human understanding. Oh, what should I do? I think this, or she said that, or they're doing that, blah, 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 blah. All that is coming from your human understanding, your little peon human brain, just like my little peon human brain. We need someone who sees the big picture. We need someone who has all power. We need someone who knows the best plan for us. That's who we want in charge of all of these things that we're seeking to make better. Okay? So that's why I chose Matthew 11:28. So when you make the choice, an executive decision that only you can make, when you choose to submit to the Lord Jesus Christ and His loving kindness. Loving kindness. That is what comes from Him. Loving kindness. When you choose to submit to Him and His loving kindness, He will comfort you, causing you to rest. Here, that's very comforting. Over time, He will heal you layer by layer in the most efficient way possible. And He will cause you to master many personal challenges that you face. And this is proportional. The more you submit to His loving kindness, the more comfort you will get, the more healing you will find, and the more personal issues He will cause you to overcome. How does He do that? Because He's the overcomer. He's the overcomer. When you hang out inside the overcomer, following the overcomer, thinking about the overcomer, coming to the overcomer, you will eventually overcome, because that's what He does. There's an energy exchange that takes place. He takes your wounds, He gives you His healing. He takes your trauma, He gives you His restoration, issue by issue, layer by layer. He takes whatever it is you don't like, and He gives you the gifts from heaven that you're praying for, that you're desiring, that you're trying to resolve within yourself. And especially if you're someone who just really wants some self-control. I wanted self-control for so long, and now I have it. And it's because I have done this process for years. And I love it. And I'm never going to do anything else, because He's the most efficient healer. He has the best direction, and He knows what He's doing. He has the ultimate plan for me. And so that's what I'm going to do. So up here, I have some numbered points in the topic of resting. We talked about that here and how that has to be one of your first steps. First, you're going to be resting from your work. That's one thing that He is saying here when He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary by working, and performing rituals that provide no peace, and working for your salvation, and working to perform for God, and you're worn out from this." He's going to teach you to stop working and to start resting. And the way you can do that is by taking your eyes off of yourself and putting your eyes onto Him. Because you're performing for God, focusing on yourself. Am I performing enough? Did I do enough work? Did I do a good enough job? And all that. Well, guess what? When you take your eyes off yourself and put your eyes on Him, you're looking at His perfect performance. His living the perfect life. His perfect death, burial, and resurrection. That's the only performance He needs and He wants. And that's the only performance that you need and you want. Your performance means nothing. So it takes the pressure off you and puts the pressure on Him to start doing things in your life. The second thing is He will lead you to some type of healing, whether it's a big, long event, or it's lots of little things, whether it's alone with one person or in a community or both in different seasons, however he wants to do it, depending on you and your needs. That's what he will do. He will also teach you to tune in to him, to tune into his voice, to connect with him. Even if you've never connected with anyone in your life, he will teach you to connect with him. And oh boy, is it wonderful. And so when you connect with him, you'll be learning to listen to him. To listen to him. He'll give you wisdom. He'll warn you about dangers. He'll give you special blessings that you wouldn't believe. And when you talk about obey, the word obey, what that word really means at its root, that word means to listen. So as he teaches you to connect with him, he's teaching you to obey, to walk and follow him in step with him by listening to him. You're listening. See, and that just keeps you in step with him, and then that is obedience, but you don't realize it because you just want to hear from him and you want to be near him, but that's how he makes it work. So he's mastering yourself through your submission in these processes. And then one of the later things he'll do is number 4, he will cause you to walk in paths of righteousness. He can do this from the beginning, but you won't really be aware of it, and it will be progressive. And so by the time you're aware of it, it has grown to be pretty significant. In Psalm 23:4, he talks about, I will lead you in paths of righteousness. And in Galatians 5:22 and 23, those are the fruit of righteousness. This righteousness manifests in the fruit of the Spirit, which we will talk about in a minute. So, walking in paths of righteousness is walking with the fruit of the Spirit manifesting in your life. Okay, let me keep focused here. Okay, so some basic steps that you'll do if you want to start the process or continue or be encouraged already in the process of walking with the Lord, and you want to accelerate mastering the self through submission. First thing you're going to do is surrender. That's the first thing that anyone can do, right? Remember, you are yielding to a seriously superior force. You are yielding. You know the yellow yield signs when you're in the car? It says yield, and you slow down and see if no one's coming, and then you go. Well, waving the white flag is surrender. Surrender. In wars, when one army would give in and surrender to the other, that means we want to stop fighting. I want to stop fighting you, and I want to surrender. I want to let you lead because you're the superior force. I want to let you lead because you know so much better than I do. I want to let you lead because you're benevolent and you have the best plan for me. So you're yielding to a superior force, you're waving the white flag, and you're surrendering your life to this superior force. You're yielding your heart to this superior force. Secondly, daily, you're going to ask him to help you remember that this is your new reality, that you're submitting to him. Just like over here, and over here, and up here. You're choosing to let him go before you. You're choosing to rank underneath him. See, you're not God, and this is showing and proving that you know you're not God, and you don't want to pretend that you're God because you're going to do this. You're going to submit to him daily in his yoke. I'm not talking about an egg yolk, Y-O-L-K. I'm talking about a yoke, Y-O-K-E. Here is a mini yoke. Okay, that's a mini yoke. And the yoke is an instrument that they use on animals to keep them walking together in the same direction. And so this is not uncomfortable or harmful. It just is a tool to keep them together. So Christ is calling you into his yoke. He's in one side, and he's calling you to get in the other side. So his yoke is gentle. It is comfortable, it is gracious, it is useful, because he does the work and you just hang out with him. That's how it works. So here's a picture of a yoke right here. And this is the part that goes on the shoulders. And this is one collar. Maybe he's in that one and he's calling you to get in this collar. And so you're going to walk with him in that. So surrender, then daily submission, and then in life you're going to learn slowly over time to follow his leading. Not the leading of the media, even though he can speak through the media. Not the leading of other people, although he can speak through other people. Not the leading of your own human understanding. Not the leading of all these forces out here that want to pull you into this dark vortex. But his leading. His leading, and it very well might be through adversity at times. Through adversity at times. I have had tremendous adversity my entire life. And now I can see that every time I come through some type of adversity, I'm stronger. So all of these circumstances of adversity have strengthened me and strengthened me and strengthened me. So don't be afraid of adversity, okay? God uses adversity to grow you up into Christ. So I'm going to encourage you to be brave and courageous and trust him through the hard times. You're going to have hard times anyway in this world, but you want your hard times and troubled times to be used efficiently in your healing and in your growth and in your progress. And that's what he will make sure of. Number 4, just know that during this process, he is going to be doing this work in and through you. You won't be doing it, remember, because you're resting. The more you rest, the more this will happen. If you're not resting, you'll be in the way of this happening. So number 4, he will incorporate these into your life. In other words, he will cause these fruit seeds inside you to start growing very slowly over time and bearing fruit. And you might not even have any awareness of it, but you will just eventually have fruit exploding all over your life. Okay? What is this fruit in Galatians 5:22 and 23? Love. That's the first thing you experience when you come over here to Christ. You experience his love. And his love is one of the aspects that causes you to rest, especially for those of you who've never been loved before. All right? Love, joy, the joy of the Lord, the joy that someone loves me, the joy that the God of the universe wants a relationship with me, that he wants to give me this loving kindness from heaven. That will give you joy. Peace, you know you have peace with God. That is a peaceful feeling. He will grow patience in you as you get healed. He will cause goodness and kindness to come from your heart. He will teach you over time to be faithful. And it's not you white-knuckling it trying to learn something. Because when you invite him into your heart and life, he puts himself within you. And so this process is himself within you growing bigger and bigger. That's what's happening. It's not you trying to be faithful or trying to do good deeds. No. That's not what it is. It's him working outwardly through you because you're cooperating with him. Here, number 2. Because the scripture says in Matthew 11:28 through 30 that he is gentle and humble, when you submit to him and you hang out with him, that gentleness and humility is going to rub off on you. And then the last of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. See, when you let him master yourself through you submitting to him, the mastering of that self is going to include self-control. Boundaries has a huge part to do with developing self-control, but that's another video. So let's keep going. The personal issues that you were wanting him to heal over here, during this process, they will be healed. Your personal issues will be healed and resolved over time and replaced with this. Not necessarily replaced in every case, but the personal issues can shrink and decrease so much that they're not that big of a deal anymore, and these are much more in the spotlight of your life. Okay, so he masters you, and in that he masters the issues of your life. It happens supernaturally. He conforms you to his image because you have joined yourself to him, and you're resting in him and receiving his loving kindness and healing, etc. So he also finesses you and your issues, and he does all of this in divine efficiency. It is so efficient and so beautiful. I cannot stress that enough, the efficiency that he operates in. So number 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all of this happens very naturally as you trust him more and more and follow more and more closely, more and more consistently. All of this happens naturally. It's like a plant growing outside, a tree growing slowly over time. A little acorn ends up being a great big oak tree. So in review, mastering the self through submission, you're submitting to the ultimate master. He's mastering you as you submit to him, trust him, and follow him. It's a very natural process. It happens without you white knuckling it. Yes, you want to do what he says. Yes, you want to follow where he leads on the steps that are efficient to your healing. You don't want to break away and do your own thing. Okay? So surrender, submit, follow, and he will do this work, and it happens naturally. And remember too that you are yielding to not just a superior force, but to an extremely benevolent superior force. You can trust him. You will be in his hands, and he will be doing his will in your life. Don't be afraid of adversity. Let it be an opportunity for growth for you. That is such an important mindset. Okay, so you guys please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I pray God's blessing on you. And I'll see you in the next video.